Folks, give a huge round of applause for Justine Hipsky.
Hi. Let me move this big, heavy thing. Okay, there we go. There's an X I'm supposed to stand on. Okay, I'm going to narrate my process. Anyone remember the year 1996? Some of you definitely. Some of you maybe less so. Well, in the spring of 1996, I was a very mature 7 years old. And I lived in Florida, which is where I'm from, which is going to become abundantly clear from this story. Abundantly clear. And to help set the stage for anyone who maybe doesn't quite remember that year as well, let's see. Princess Diana was still with us. Oh. Beautiful, just want to memorialize that. And I personally was in love with and set to marry Jonathan Taylor Thomas. So, yeah. And because it was Florida in the 90s, my dad was recently coming out of rehab for crack cocaine addiction. And now this wouldn't be his last time seeking treatment, and it wasn't his first. But this time was especially exciting for me because historically, all growing up, my dad hadn't really had his own place. He often was, staying with my grandparents or with friends, and sometimes he was missing altogether. Once, I just remember that he stole a Jeep from the car dealership he worked at and was gone for 4 days. And I recently, literally as in last week, was like, hey, do you remember when that happened? And he was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, so I never really got an answer, like, where were you? Where did you go with the Jeep? And he was like, oh, I didn't go anywhere. I just traded it for crack. And then I spent the weekend just doing a lot of drugs. So I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like, it wasn't like he was on a Caribbean getaway without me. He was, like, struggling with addiction, So he historically hadn't had his own place, despite being a very hardworking man. But he was in his 20s, and he was struggling. So this time was different. He was out of rehab, and he rented an old rundown duplex on the outskirts of Cocoa Beach, Florida. And it was just a few blocks from the beach, and it was painted like a very drab, milky pink, and it boasted like very extensive wood paneling inside. Had terrazzo floors, and it was generally like, it wasn't a mansion. But this was very exciting for me, like in my 7-year-old brain. Like, I'm the parent, and I'm like, good, like my dad has, he's out of rehab and he has a home, this is good. And for me, personally, it was very exciting because I had just wanted to have a sleepover. Like, I literally had never gone, stayed at my dad's house and had a friend over. So this was huge. The bar was off for me for normalization, if you can put the pieces together. So this was a big deal. So this sleepover that happens is Mother's Day weekend, and that sounds counterintuitive, but my mom worked nights. As a dancer, I told you, Florida, you'll see it all, yeah. It's all coming together for you. And my dad would take me on Saturday night and then bring me back home on Sunday afternoon. And I was like, I have the best idea. We will invite my friend Rachel. And Rachel was, my best friend in the neighborhood. She lived in the apartment complex that I lived in with my mom. And somehow her parents said yes. Now, I don't think they were looped into my dad's previous tendencies to make crack runs while watching me. But, he always rented me a movie. And I always had food. Do you know how many times I saw Nightmare on Elm Street? A lot, yeah. So I was fine. So anyway, everyone says yes, and it's on. So Saturday comes around, and my dad picks us up in his, gold hoop earring and his jean shorts, and a pack of Reds just in his shirt pocket. It's 1996 in Florida, yeah. So he picks us up, and we have our little Thumbelina backpacks or whatever, packed with our best PJs and, faded neon bathing suits, and we're off. And we get to my dad's place, and we're getting settled in, and he does a very classic dad sleepover move, which is he orders pizza. Great. It was going so well. We're eating pizza. My dad gets up to go to the restroom at one point, and my friend Rachel leans over and says, your dad's nipples look like pepperonis. No, they don't. Yes, they do. Look at him when he comes back. No, I won't. I won't because they don't look like pepperonis. No. They do. Take it back. I won't. Take it back, pervert. Okay. My dad comes back and we're just sitting in silence. Like, she's clearly smug that she has like caused me to deal with this. And I'm just like furious that now I'm grappling with like whether or not my dad's nipples look like pepperonis, which I don't think any child should have to deal with. Like, I'm just putting that out there. But anyway, we go on and we play like a massive Uno tournament, which was like, my favorite thing to do. And, we play Uno until like it's time to go to bed. And we take my dad's room. My dad sleeps on the couch. And I remember laying in there thinking, like, I hope this has been fun enough. Like, it's my first time having a friend over where my dad lives. And, like, Rachel is, like, kind of a bitch. But, like, I hope she's having a nice time. And I hope that the beach is fun tomorrow. Like, I really wanted to impress her. Like, this whole experience was just really important to me, especially because I did always tend to attract... I tended to attract friends who like reveled in other people's discomfort, like judgmental people, mean girls, and then I made it my whole life to like have them think highly of me. So yeah, so I fall asleep thinking, but we're going to the beach tomorrow before we go home, and that will be so fun. So we wake up in the morning, and of course it is completely cloudy and dreary, and it's not like really a good beach morning. It's not happening. So we have breakfast and we go for a walk on the beach instead. And I'm just thinking, like, God, this is such a mundane activity. Is Rachel having fun? Like, we should be doing something cooler and more like sleepover like. But then, because the universe always provides, something amazing happens. Something completely amazing happens. And that is we're heading back and we're going up the wooden steps to go over the dune. And I look over to my right, and there's a man in the sawgrass. And he has long hair, and he's wearing like a mauve blanket, and I can see his bare feet. And he's laying down. And now here is where in the story I so desperately want to lie to you. I want to tell you that I was immediately struck with shock and fear and sadness and confusion and empathy. And I want to tell you those things because this man was dead. He was a dead man. And I knew it. I knew it. And guess what? I was fucking excited. I was like, finally, something good is happening. Call the police. What a treat, I mean, I couldn't believe my luck, right? Like, so I'm over the moon. And I'm like, Dad, 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 Dad. And he has obviously a dramatically different reaction, He's like, Justine, stop. He's asleep. Stop. Shh. You're being rude. Stop. He's asleep. And meanwhile, Rachel is just cowering on the other side of the boardwalk, like pale as a ghost, like wanting to go home, like what a bitch would do. Sorry. We were the same age, so I can say it. And, all I'm left thinking is like, wow, she's a baby and my dad is dumb. Like, the smartest guy in the world, whose nipples definitely don't look like pepperonis, is an idiot. Okay, fine, but I'm thinking maybe he's right. Maybe this man is sleeping and I am being so rude. And so we go. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't have. We didn't have cell phones. So we go back. We pack up, and my dad takes us back. Rachel goes home. My dad brings me home. He comes in. He talks to my mom for a while. And I'm supposed to be getting ready to go to brunch, like at the Melting Pot, because it's Mother's Day. And my dad leaves, and like I'm trying to get ready, and then the news is on, like in the living room. The midday news is on, and then I hear it. Local family's Mother's Day walk comes to a somber halt as they discover the body of an unknown man. Mom! What? I could have been on the news! I was so upset. And it's not lost on me how deranged it is. That sadness is a distant second for me whenever there's a tragic incident to wanting to just be involved in the action. And it's also not lost on me at 35 years old, in retrospect, that my dad is not dumb. That my dad also knew this man was dead. And that he just could not let the narrative be recovering crack addict, walking on beach on Mother's Day with daughter and friend, find naked, dead body. So it's all about perspective. Yeah. Thank you.